my destiny.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another installment of the Black Book Podcast. For today, we have a guest who is probably quite known in Guangzhou. I hope so. Kela is her name. And Kela, can you just start off by telling people, your name, where you're from, what you're doing, how'd you get to China, things like that?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. And so Guangzhou, I had lived in China already for about 2 years before I moved to Guangzhou. So I actually just moved from another city called Changsha, which is in Hunan province. And in Hunan, I was working just at a training center. And the year before then, I worked in the public education sector at a university. And I missed that. And I just wanted to go back to that level of teaching those types of English lessons and with that age group and stuff. So I got the idea to start a company based on language. I'm a professional translator by my other trade, and that's what I have my master's degree in. Yes, Spanish to English translator. And I met, some like-minded people who wanted to do like a translation agency to give like those language services for people who needed them. Okay. So we agreed that one of my business partners was already in Guangzhou and I was in Changsha, and we figured it would be better to have another one of us there for better communication and stuff, especially with like paperwork and stuff as well. So I decided to move to Guangzhou. I found another job teaching English at a university in Guangzhou, and I moved there, and I've been there since. And I think Guangzhou, I haven't been all over China, but for the places I have been, I think Guangzhou is my favorite city.
A lot of people say that, yeah, especially about like the Southwest. Like I've been maybe like 20 different Chinese cities. Like I used to live in Beijing. I've been to Shanghai. I've been to Shenyang, which is like in the northeast. I've been to Harbin, which is also in the northeast. I've been to where else? I've been to like Chengdu, Chongqing. Well, I have not. I'm going to Chongqing soon. I've been to Hong Kong. I've been to Hangzhou, Suzhou, Taipei, which is like Taiwan. Chinese people claim Taiwan as their own, but talk to Taiwanese person. It's totally different. It's totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been all around, but I decided to move to Chengdu because like I was like, man, I really liked Chengdu more than all the other cities, especially Beijing. And I had lived in Beijing for almost 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've totally in China. Well, I'm not there now, but before I left, I had been there for about 3 years and like 4 months or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm definitely going back. I'm not finished. I've been stuck out for about 8 months now. Just waiting for an opportunity to go back.
Okay. So you said you were in Changsha before, and like, what were you doing before you went to Changsha?
Before I went to Changsha, I was in a small, it's like a small city called Yiyang, also in Hunan province. It's about maybe like 45 to an hour minutes outside of Changsha to the north. That was my introduction to China. So I didn't.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's like Booney's small town, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
so that was I man, I don't even know where to begin. Like whenever I think of that first year in
I've
China,
been
everything
look.
was such a
I've
shock.
been to these small towns before. Like I didn't start
Mhm.
off. I didn't start off in a small town, but I've been to them. Like my friend, a really good friend of mine. She left Beijing and moved to a small town like 3 weeks after we had moved to Beijing. Um, and it was like Rugao. It was like it's a city called Rugao. Nobody knows where it is.
Right,
It's
cuz
not
I
even
don't
like
know.
it doesn't show up on the map, anything like that. One time I went to go
Oh
visit
my
her and I was
gosh.
just like, this is like too rural for me. It's
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
and things like that. And then I also like my girlfriend, she is from like a small town in China. And she's from like northeast China and it's like it's a village up there. I swear to God. Like
Mhm.
none of the village
Yeah.
folk.
It's
When I went up there, I
I
was the
would it
only
would be a
foreigner in the whole
village here,
town.
yeah. Yeah, and so Eon, thank God it wasn't that small to where I was the only foreigner, and but there it was just a handful of foreigners. Like I think maybe when I was in Eon, most of the foreigners knew each other, no
Okay.
matter what country they were from. Um, and I worked at the local university in Eon for a year, and I still remember a few of my students, like some of the standout students. So shout out to them. They really helped with my transition. You know, getting
Okay.
accustomed to Chinese ways, Chinese thinking, Chinese
Good.
speaking, and they were patient with me. With I'm American. We have our way of looking and seeing and doing as well. So I'm glad that I had like that crop of people. I don't know how to say that, but like that specific group of people at that time, I really feel
Yeah.
like if it were other people, I don't even know if I would have stayed in China. I think that the students that I had, some of the friends that I made outside of working in that city specifically and going through that time of being so isolated and in a completely new land, um, those people are like, if it were anyone else, I feel like I would have given up and just went back home. It's like, let's see what else is out here. Or I would have probably just washed my hands and let it go. But I kept, like, the longer I've been there, like, so, like, each year I'm like on this journey through the year, and then like when it seems to be coming full circle, I meet someone somehow, and then like there's like I'm introduced to like greater opportunities. For I'll
Mm-hmm.
reference moving to Guangzhou to start my own company. Like, that was not in the plans and the cards or anything when I moved to China,
Right.
and within a year or two I was able to, decide that that was something that I could do and then go through with it. So it seems like every year, like something like that happens, and I elevate somehow, and I want to keep experiencing that. And I feel like that would happen wherever I go, but while I'm here, I want to take as much from that as I can, and really take advantage of that, because it's really helped me. It's helped me in my life. It's helped me with like my personal growth. So
This sounds very, very good. Yeah,
yeah.
I think a lot of people would say that. I would definitely would say that. Like I was in Beijing for the first time. Like the friends I had, the students I had, the friends I had outside of my work, outside of my job, like played a big role in me staying there. I mean, even though like I loved it, like I didn't hate any at the beginning. I didn't hate anything about it because like I was coming from America and I had, had gone through some things. And I was just like, I just needed to get away type thing.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
still, being in
Yeah.
another country can be tough.
Yes.
I feel the same way. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure
I
most people do.
Yeah, and I will say I wish I were as nice as you, but I will say I have not like completely loved my entire experience, and I'm sure that a lot of people would be able to relate to that. I don't know if I would say
Oh,
hate,
I
but I
didn't say
get pretty close.
100%. I
Oh
didn't say
no, no, not
100%.
100%. I'm just saying, like, for me, like, I
Yeah.
have like there are a lot of things that have happened or that I've personally witnessed in living and working and just being in China, where like you get that severe like twitch in your eye, like
I know what you're talking
what
about.
is
Mm-hmm.
happening, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of those, and I could, if I wrote a book, man, it'd be more like a manual for a rocket or something like that. It'd be so long because there's so much. There's so much, and that
But
would
I
just
need
be
you to,
my story. That's not even everybody else. So,
right.
but
I
at
need
the
you to
end of the
get to
day, I'm
speak on
liking
some of
it.
those. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we're gonna get there. I know.
all right. So, can you tell us before we get there? Can you tell us where you from? Where are you from?
Yes, where am I? I'm always proud to answer this question. It always gets me turned up. I am from Northeast Washington, D.C. I'm from a community called Lincoln Heights.
Okay.
So, and the reason why I'm always so proud to say that, and why I always feel so impassioned when I say that, is because that area in DC is one of the worst, and it has
Right.
been for my entire life. Um, and a lot of people don't make it out. Like that's the reality. Um, However, I did, but I'm not ashamed of where I'm from, what it looks like. Um, I use that to drive everything I do.
Good.
So I, a lot of people like to hide or like to downplay a little bit, about where they're from. But for me, that's a part of who I am. I'm very proud to be from Lincoln Heights, and when I come home, they're proud of me. Like that drives me. That
Right.
it gives me motivation. It's inspirational to me. So I make sure whenever somebody asks where am I from, I don't even care if they don't know any American cities. I will get as specific as possible to let them know exactly
I
where
do
I'm
the
from.
same thing. I do the same thing.
Hmm.
People ask me where I'm from because they're like, I'm from Chicago. Oh, what part of Chicago? I don't usually don't say the South Side. I say Inglewood, which is like in
Hmm.
Chicago, one of the worst neighborhoods in Chicago. I go Inglewood. They go, where is that? Then I go South Side. So yeah, I
Hmm.
know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a certain pride about
Mm-hmm.
you know surviving and thriving past the stereotypes, past the circumstances, and all of that.
Yeah.
So yep, everyone will always know exactly where I'm from. Lincoln Heights, Northeast Washington, D.C.
I feel it. I feel it. That's great. So like, what led you to China?
So what led me to China actually was a promise that I made to my best friend from
Okay.
college. So she is also a teacher in China. So shout out to Imani. I love you. But she got there first. We were supposed to graduate at the same. We graduated college at the same time. We started researching about China and stuff, and applied to the same like cultural agency, and we both got in. But I was applying to grad school and I got accepted, much to my surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't know if I was the type of person who could like leave school and then go back. So
Mm.
I said, while I have this opportunity here on the table, I want to take it. And it was something that I'm glad I did it. Um, Studying translation, helped me to realize that language really is one of my passions, and that skill is something that I now have that I can do for the rest of my life from anywhere. Um, but so I went to, I promised her actually that once I got my master's degree, I would join her out in China. And my program was a 1 year like intensive program, but I ended up taking 2 years to earn my master's degree. But then I communicated with her actually the whole time. And then at the end, I said, yep, I got the degree. So she helped me with my application process and everything. And I kept my promise, and I moved to China. And we didn't end up in the same city. We
Mm.
wanted to, but that whole like the communication was kind of bad between like us and the school and everything that was happening like that. So I ended up getting an offer from the university that I started working at, and she was also in Hunan province, no, Hubei province, and I went to Hunan
Too
province. We
bad.
weren't like
Okay.
so far away.
Yeah.
So I was comfortable with going out there and being completely alone, knowing that I still, you know, had a way to get to her. Like once I learned the ropes and stuff, that she
Right.
was still accessible, then I felt better about being there by myself. But yep, I kept the promise to my best friend.
Okay. So is your best friend still in China?
She is, yeah, she is. She's still
Okay.
there. We've, you know, we've realized that the world is so big, and you know, there are a lot of ways to, you know, achieve success. There are a lot of ways to live your life on your own terms, you know. So we've even like together, we've always been the two to like just walk the path less traveled if it's something that we really want to do. So we were like, we're gonna make this international life work because this is where it's at for us, and things make sense for us, you know. So we're still there. I'm surprised I'm still there or wanting to go back,
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
because originally I did, you know, confide to my friend that I was only going to be there for 1 or 2 years, and then the plan was to go back and do and go to law school or something. But
We on the
I was
same page.
also, yeah.
We on the same.
So that was the plan, man. That was the plan. And then, like, I was seeing, you know, I didn't want to deviate from that plan. I felt like 1 or 2 years in China was like, all right, okay, you done had your fun. Now it's time to get back to business. But being out there and seeing how enterprising a lot of other people were, like, I started seeing things in a different way. And I realized that I too could do that, you know, and make something with that. And achieve the same standards or levels of success as I know in America. So I'm just making it work for me at this point. So
Yes.
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about because that's I came out here in 2016, and I was telling myself and everybody else, I'm only gonna be out here for a year because I want to go back to school. I want to go back to law school.
Yep. Yep.
I want to go do this. I want to go do that because I also want to go to like South America and stuff like that. I've been out here
Mm-hmm.
almost 5 years. Like I ain't went back.
That's how they get you, man. That's how they get
Yeah,
you.
but I'm glad though because like I mean I didn't do anything enterprising, but like I've met so many people, and you know I got inspired in a different way, which is like to create this
Yeah.
podcast. So like
Mm-hmm.
I would have never been able to create this podcast if I hadn't. I don't think if I hadn't stayed there so long, stayed here so long because I'm still here.
Yeah, definitely. And I know for a fact that if I had come back to America sooner than I did, I would not have grown the courage or basically the courage to start my own company. You know, I never believed that I had it in me to do that, and I never really tried. But something about being in China and meeting the people that I met while I was there, like they awakened that that feeling like, okay, this is possible, you know, and that encouragement for me to like actually go through with it. So I want to keep feeling that. I want to keep experiencing this leveling up, as the young folks say nowadays.
Right.
You know, like realizing more and more about yourself, more positive things, and just being able to like test yourself in so many different ways, and come out on top and come out better. Like if I'm getting that, I'm not going to stop the gravy train. So I'm just like I'm here, you know.
Right, right, absolutely, man. I definitely get that. All right, so let's move on to Guangzhou. All right.
Yeah,
So,
Guangzhou.
so for people who don't know, I don't know who doesn't know, but for people who don't know, back in was it March or April?
Um, it was more April, I think.
Okay.
I think it like started a little in March, and then it kind of blew up all over in
Yeah.
April.
So we'll say like end of March, April type of time frame. Um, I don't want to say the whole country, but definitely people in Guangzhou started blaming Africans and African Americans
Mhm.
for the start of the COVID-19.
Mhm.
And just all over WeChat, we start seeing these videos of like Black people on the streets in Guangzhou,
Yeah.
Black people being followed around by police in Guangzhou, which is like we're like, dude, what the hell is this? Are they kidding? Like,
Yeah.
are they serious about this right now? You know, because it wasn't. To be honest, like I'm in Chengdu, it wasn't happening here. Like nobody was like looking at me funny when I went out or nothing like that. You know, I mean, I still get the funny look because I'm a foreigner, but it wasn't like, oh, get away from me. You started
Right.
the
Right.
virus type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't hard to believe, but I was like really surprised that like in Guangzhou, which is like has the largest black population in
Exactly.
China.
Exactly.
You know, like for lack of better words, just like the most tolerable place in China for black people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like really surprising. So can you just, just tell us about that experience you had going through that?
Okay, so to give this a little better like perspective, I am not currently located in China, and for anyone listening, and I was not physically there
Mm-hmm.
during these incidents.
Right.
However, I live there, and I have a lot of friends, many African friends, and Black American friends, and Black friends from many other different countries who are there in Guangzhou. And because I am still very much in tune and in communication with a lot of my friends who are there, um, being back in America, I still kind of split my time between here and China. And I got literally messages of people on the ground. I offered my services to help. I was like, what do you need me to do? Like, spread the info. I was spreading the info,
Right.
calling people, helping them organize and get resources and donations and stuff to people I was helping to organize, and things like that. So basically, I would be here in America and I would like sleep a little during the day because like we're up and at 'em,
Right.
on the opposite time spectrum. So you can't like sleep all day. So like I would just like handle a few things and like try to rest during the day, and then at night I'm up and I'm communicating with people on the ground in Guangzhou, and even in Shenzhen, and then people would message me, like word got out, people would message me from other provinces because my contact information was shared, like how can I help, what can I do.
Yeah.
I was just helping to facilitate and share information and share resources, collect donations, so that the people who were there, who were creating like these packages to help people, that they could fund that and afford to be doing that. Like there were food, blankets, clothing, water, like little like care package type
Yeah.
packages, like all types of things. So I wasn't there physically, but while I was here, it really bothered me that was going on, because like you said, like treating people as if they were the virus. I'm like, did we not just go through a time where the whole world is basically condemning anyone who was harassing or otherwise to people of Asian descent and Asian people? Like, we just went through, everyone, saying like how wrong that was, and how people shouldn't be treated like, they're not human, and people should be respected, and you shouldn't make assumptions about people based on race or ethnicity or nationality or so on and so on. So
Right.
I'm like, how do we come off the heels um, of a realization like that to start treating people like this in Guangzhou, and then to kind of like bold-faced lie about it. Like I'm like, these people are not imagining getting evicted illegally from their apartments, like these people are not imagining being refused to go into these locations. Like this is really happening. And it's crazy how even with all those videos and messages and all of the proof, like it didn't matter really what was said in the beginning. Like nobody wanted to believe what was happening. Even other foreigners, like even, like you said, it wasn't happening in Chengdu, but even Black foreigners in other cities in China was like, nope, well, I'm not experiencing it here, so y'all got to be lying. I'm like, no, like there
Uh,
there has always been So I've heard that there's always been like this kind of underlying racial tension, but everybody knows why everybody's in Guangzhou. Everybody's there for business. Nobody,
Right.
like, and students are doing business. The business people are doing business. Everybody's doing business. Everybody's
Right.
there to get theirs, and that's it. You know, and outside of that fragile bond, there's nothing really connecting people. At least that's how it was explained to me. Like that Guangzhou is that kind of place. It's in a little more warm than that in my experience, but I'm just saying that's like what people. So with what a lot of people characterize that city as, because it's so transient for a lot of people. So the fact that even with, you know, people coming there, you know, establishing businesses and making sure that the city is prosperous and stuff like that, and that, you know, they've a lot of them follow the laws. They contribute well to the local society, and for that to be happening to them, like you'll have a partner or a business associate or something for 15 years, but as soon as, you know, a couple of Black people start getting a side out, all of a sudden this person you've known for 15 years is like, don't talk to me. Like, what? That was crazy to me. And that's, you know, firsthand accounts from people that I sat and had that conversation with them. Like, I'm on the other end of the phone going, that's crazy, you know? So I'm blessed to have not like witnessed it, like not witnessed, because I was definitely a witness, but not to have experienced a lot of that discrimination and that ire and that, I don't know, that I don't want to say hatred, but it's very close to that from the local people there, or from anyone else that felt like they had to start doing that and, you know, treating Black people in that way. I'm very fortunate, and I have experienced it, you know, from them to me, but I definitely felt it through, you know, what I saw my friends going through and what I was helping people through.
Yeah. Wow. That was a lot. I mean, like, and it took like what, 2 months for them to like get on their
About
feet.
2 months.
So like, what people were telling me was that a lot of them, why a lot of them couldn't leave during the time, because they couldn't go to restaurants, they couldn't go to certain hotels, they couldn't do a lot of things. But what they could do was leave. But because of the virus, they couldn't leave because maybe their visa had ended, or maybe like Guangzhou wasn't flying out of the city at the time, or I mean, you know, things like that, which is like really bizarre. Being that Guangzhou is an international city. Um,
Yeah.
so like, how can you, like, do you know like how it ended?
Um, it kind of just fizzled out. Like, at one point, it seems like that was going to be a new normal for Black people in Guangzhou and in China. But after, there was a lot of pushback from the international community, because we were hitting up BBC, CNN, anybody, everybody. We were telling our local news stations in our respective like home countries, like, this is what's going on, y'all, spreading news. And a lot of people spoke out against it. And China, you know, they kind of had to defend themselves on the international platform. And then when I think what is the word? The embassies, the African embassies, when they came together and they started demanding answers and things like that. And, you know, the government officials in China, I guess they started like looking more intentionally and more closely at what was going on. And then they came to see for themselves that this stuff was really happening, you know, and there was like a refusal to accept that at first. And they were like, no, it's not happening. We're tolerant of everyone and we accept everyone. And people were literally like coming right behind them and saying, no, you don't.
Yeah.
In as many languages as you can think of, like, people were like, stop lying, that's not the case. So
And what was crazy is that they tried to justify the shit too, because like,
by saying that, you know, those 5 Nigerian guys, they tested positive or whatever from that one restaurant. And I'm glad you brought that up, kind of, because there was maybe one or two articles that I read that mentioned that those 5 original Nigerian guys, that they claim to have, started that spread, which I don't believe. So I'm just putting it out there. But one of the earliest articles written about that situation mentioned how they got it from visiting this Chinese restaurant. And this Chinese it's a restaurant, I think, that serves African food, but the owners are Chinese, I believe. And the article mentioned how the wife, like the wife of the business, the restaurant, like the family went to go visit. It was either the family or just the wife. She went to go visit her family back in the village somewhere, and that's where she might have contracted the virus. And then she came back and she was like asymptomatic, and she didn't quarantine, and she just came back from her trip and just started, cooking and serving the food again. And then and so from there, that's how those African guys were able to contract the virus. And I'm like, well, it's interesting how now the narrative is, oh, the virus is coming with Africans now, instead of like paying attention to how they got it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that it was from a national who didn't follow the precautions at that time. And I'm like, I can't even find the article anymore. That's the crazy thing. I've been looking for it because I'm like, did anyone else catch that? Exactly. I'm not going to find it, but I'm not crazy. I mean, like, I'm not crazy to the point where I imagined reading something like that
I know what you mean.
detail. Yeah, exactly. So, so all of the attention turned to the Africans, and I was just like, wow. So things kind of like really blew up, and people were like, oh, nah, that's it, I'm out. But then when the authorities started kind of cracking down, and they started coming out with these hotline numbers, and then it started to be not just Africans, making complaints and airing their grievances about treatment, but foreigners from foreigners who weren't Black, basically. Even they, in leapfrog cities all over China were saying, well, this happened to me, and then they started making those hotlines available, and they were like flooded. And then I don't know why. I mean, I guess I kind of do know why, but Americans, we got the message from our consulate saying that, Black Americans were also getting kind of caught up in that craziness as well. And unfortunately, I think that, I mean, not unfortunately, it's very fortunate that somehow it was able to, bring it to a halt. But I was upset that it took that for them to be like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't really okay. Like, no, like, respect these people in their countries, Nigeria, Ghana, anywhere. Like, your passport should not determine how you're treated. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the fact that, once I feel like I saw a change and I started to hear more positive, intent from the Chinese side to correct their mistakes after Black Americans or Americans in general got that statement from our consulate, our embassy. And wow. that was crazy to me. I personally feel that way. I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm just saying I saw, or I felt like a change in the situation after that letter, like after I saw that statement. And I know Americans weren't the only ones to see it. Like we a lot of people shared that information. Right.
Well, I didn't even know about that article. What I was speaking on is that, so like every now and then I watch this TV channel called CGTN, which is like the Chinese Fox News. It's in English, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And, like I was watching it one day, and they were basically talking about how the U.S. has done this and that to African Americans, and their tone of voice was like, well, the U.S. did this back in this year, and like blah blah blah, and it came off as like, well, if the United States can do it, why can't China do it? And I'm going, is this your justification for putting people out on the street for months? Like, are you kidding me? Like, so
Right.
that's what I was talking about. But yeah, the article is very interesting as well. Like,
And like you said, I'm not gonna find it again. Like,
you
I
know,
don't think I saved it anywhere. It was just something that I read at the time. It was like, isn't this interesting? Like how people are trying to, you know, twist the situation, or how they're trying to shape the perspective. Like, instead of starting from this point, you'll start from this point, just to keep attention off of, you know, like the truth. I just like, I was just like, I know better. So
okay.
we gonna play our little game. But yeah, and that article, I lost my train of thought, but I agree with what you're saying,
That's
basically.
all right. Let's get to another topic. Is China the first country you went to? Like the first
No,
time abroad? Okay.
no, I have been to. I always remember them in order. So Senegal, South Africa, Mexico, Singapore, Indonesia, and I want to always say Hong Kong and Macau, but I know some people are gonna, you know, side eye that. So we just gonna put some asterisks by those, so you know everything is gravy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and with more plans to come. Oh, and
Okay.
South Korea, South Korea. I was there as well.
Okay. You just traveled to those cities or countries? Did you live there?
No, China's the only country that I have lived in outside of home. But I've been to all of those other countries at varying, for varying durations.
Okay. Yeah. Um, China's like the really only country I stayed somewhere long term, but I've been to other countries, Mexico, mostly
Yeah,
Caribbean countries. Like
nice.
I've been to Thailand. You gotta go to Thailand if you haven't been. It's like
I'm actually,
fire.
I might end up there sooner than expected. I'm just saying. I've
You
been
gotta go to
reading and
Thailand.
keeping up with where is opening up and where is
Yeah.
allowing Americans and stuff. And I honestly, I haven't, outside of like the rhetoric of, you know, talking about the virus on social media, I haven't seen anything that says we do not, like, we will not allow Americans to enter. So I've been looking for what my options are. I'm ready to move, get back to work.
I just had a friend who left China a couple of weeks ago. Now she's back in California. She was like, it's a good idea to go, like, whatever airline you're gonna fly out, it's a good idea to go on the airline's website just to check stuff out, and then whatever airport you're flying into, just to
Hmm.
check out their policies as well.
Hmm.
Because it's like things can be different depending on airport and airline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I remember for that, even for the border closures, they were like, some of these policies were happening like while people were literally in the air, and they would land and things would be completely different, and they had to figure out how to navigate that. Woo.
Mm, yeah. Which is why, like, I haven't left yet, but I was supposed to go
Yeah.
home. I was supposed to go home like twice now this year, and it's just
Oh my gosh, that's crazy because I came home, it was a surprise. I bought my ticket 4 months before coming home and just sat on it because I was
oh,
like,
you just went home to visit.
my family didn't know. I
You went to
called one
surprise your
person.
family.
Yes, I called my cousin in July and was like, it's been a while. This is the longest I've ever been away from home. I've missed everybody so much. I'm gonna come back and visit. And
Hmm.
and I told him, don't tell nobody. I want it to be a surprise. And so he's literally no one had any idea. I bought my ticket and we talked about it in July, to set up like how I was gonna be, received and all of that. I bought my ticket in
Right.
September, and December, what, 27th? 22nd, December 21st, I was out. So I had no intention. I was on vacation. Like, I just wanted to visit my family. I had every intention of going back,
Going
like,
back, yeah.
after that, and just got iced out by the virus. But
Yeah.
So you
That's
could
the
be
story.
me. You could be me.
That's the story of a lot of people right now. Like, I just went home for vacation and I wasn't able to come back. Like,
Yep.
yeah. But they are, like, I guess it depends on the job you have in the city. Because Beijing is starting to allow foreigners to come back, even some Americans. They just got to get. Apparently, it's a whole process. You got to get a virus test,
it is.
and apparently, you got to get a new visa. So your old visa is not valid anymore if you left China.
Oh wait, no. That is something that I have been hearing a lot, and I don't think that's true. I think that what it means is, and this is just my interpretation of the information that I've read about the whole situation, that if you want to return before they open the borders to everybody, then you have to get a brand new visa because it has to be issued after March 28th, 26 or 28th. But like if you can wait basically until, like, if you have a 10-year visa, once they open the borders, your visa will be valid again and you'll be able to use that same one. But for right now that they have the borders closed, you won't be able to use that visa. Like, if you wanted to, if you had a business visa and you wanted to go like next month or something, but it's not open to you for whatever reason, then you would either have to just sit and wait or get a new visa. But what I don't know is if it's possible to apply and get a brand new visa if your current visa is still like valid, if it's the same one.
Yeah, you can go to consulate and they'll cancel your visa. You can go to consulate.
Right, but I mean, like, if you wanted to go back there now and you had a business visa, like, would you be able to, like, and your business visa is good for like let's say 5 years, so you still got 3 good years left on it, and once the borders open, you'll be good to still use that same visa. But I don't know if, like, so if you wanted to rush it and get back now, like, can you apply for a new business visa while your current business visa is still active? That's one question where I'm really interested to know the answer to that, because or like how it applies to the different visas.
I've done it before. You can.
Oh, okay.
So basically, when you go to apply for a new visa, whatever visa you got in your passport at the time, they'll cancel it because you can only have one visa at the time. Yeah.
So you can apply for the same visa. Like, to replace your current. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I've done it twice with business visas and with travel, basically like a travel visa.
Okay.
Yeah. It don't really matter how much time you have. It's just go to the consulate or
and have all your stuff in order.
Have all your stuff in order. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially have all your stuff, because if you don't have everything in order, they're gonna turn you around real quick.
Oh man. I remember when I was in where was I? I was in Hong Kong and I was applying for the tourist visa. And there was someone there and they wanted the transit visa or something for like, I don't know,
the 72-hour visa.
He was going for like a longer one, but basically, it's that visa, like that allowance thing. And he was so sure he had everything. He was prompt and punctual and happy and polite and all of that. And he got that rejection. I was like, what is he gonna do? And there's no telling, like, I don't know, that scares me.
Yeah.
To feel like you have everything right and then just to get that no, and you're not in your home country, you can't get through your host country, like, what do you do?
Yeah, you have
and he to. He come from China. He came from mainland. That's the crazy thing. He came from it, so I don't know what his full.
Did he have someone sponsor it? Because if for those types of visas, you gotta have someone sponsor it.
Oh yeah, see, I don't know. I just remember remember feeling so bad. But I was right after him. I was like, Lord, please.
Yeah. It happens to a lot of people. A lot of people.
Yes, I was good that day, but still, man, my heart was
Yeah.
racing.
Like I had to go to Hong Kong and switch my humanitarian visa to a tourist visa one time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like the dude was telling me like I was gonna get denied unless I got somebody like to sponsor it. So that's how I know about it, because like
Mm-hmm.
I had to like call
That's
my
how it
girlfriend
works for a
up.
tourist visa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like send me your ID and all this other information about you so I can put you on my application and stuff like that. And then like I got approved. It was like no problem after that. But it was like, why do I need to? But it's crazy. Like I just want to be if I just want to be a tourist and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
nobody in China, I can't come. Like that's really crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of so. That's how it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like especially for tourist visas, like they're trying to make it so like you have to have like an actual contributing purpose of being in China, so to speak. That's like loosely speaking, but for right now to get in while the restrictions are there. But once they're gone, then people's current visas will be, active and valid again. But I feel like for this situation, the fact that there's still so many unanswered questions and stuff, and the people are using terms that they shouldn't for things that they don't mean, and things like that. So it adds to the confusion, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I'm no ambassador or no consulate general, so I don't like. I just like whenever I get an article, it comes from a reputable source. I share it, stuff like that.
Right. And so, yeah, and a lot of there are even now like there's a repetition of these articles of like who can come to China, but week in and week out it's the same list of 8 countries. Like, okay, we get it. Like it's supposed to be news. Like we need updates and we need answers to questions that we have already asked. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like and it just felt like the situation kind of started feeling a bit redundant, and so I had to like just tune out a little bit. So like for a few weeks or so, like I was just like, I don't care. I'm gonna, I'm every time I see something about, if I see border in the headline, I'm jumping in my heart's racing like, oh, what's happening, But I was tired of doing that, so I'm like, I'm gonna step back and just deal with my situation for, while I'm home. And I think about 3 weeks ago, I started tuning back in to what was going on. I needed that breakaway because, yeah, the situation is just crazy. It's kind of heartbreaking because you don't, when you look at the rhetoric about, who's allowed to do what and go where, and then you see who they associate with that. So like high level executives and people who make this much money, or people who have this status or this many letters after their name or whatever. You don't want to think that you're not essential because you don't have all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like people have started their lives, their families, their businesses, and have established and contributed so much to these foreign environments all over the world. And to be told that you're not essential enough to the place to be able to go back and try to rebuild your life. Like you gotta wait. You don't matter right now. Like it's the Apple executives that can come back and get their stuff back on track and stuff like that. Like I'm not saying they're not important. I'm saying everybody is important, and we all deserve to get our lives back on track. And like the fact that we are saying like these people are essential because they pay $1 million RMB in
Which is
taxes or
why
something
I
like that.
didn't leave China, and I wanted to leave so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew I could always leave, but I know I wouldn't be able to come back because I was like, if I
Mm-hmm.
go, what am I going to? Yeah, I got family. I'm gonna visit them.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be happy for a couple of weeks, but after that, I'm gonna start running out of money because I ain't got no job in
Right.
Chicago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got my own apartment in Chengdu. I'm gonna have to go back to my parents' house. Like, I'm okay. I think I'm gonna have to rat this thing out until something
Exactly.
changes.
I think
Yeah.
if I had not decided to go home, I would be there. Like I literally only left to go visit. I have never been away from home for 3 consecutive years, or more, so I was like, I feel like right now, and I had been having I had been having a string of experiences, a string of negative experiences, and I'm like, maybe this is a sign, maybe I need to step away, maybe I need that fresh air, maybe I need, to be around familiar energy, like, and I mean familiar as in like my blood, my family. And I was like, maybe it's just time for that recharge. So I used what would have been my vacation to go home and get that, and just bam, another reality. So,
Yeah,
but
let me
I
ask
would
you about.
definitely have written it out if it wasn't the case for me going home. I definitely would still be there.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, let me ask you about this. You've been in China and you're a black woman. I want to know what is like your like how do you feel when you're traveling around China before this
Okay.
virus stuff and all this stuff like that? Like, how did
Okay,
you
yeah,
feel?
of course,
Yeah.
of course. So in general, I feel like it's, mm, I will say I've had some very scary and unfortunate experiences with traveling by myself, with even with traveling in a group where I'm the only woman, where our lives were threatened by groups of Chinese people, sometimes just for being black. So, um, and I recognize that people will have different experiences, various experiences. Some people might never know what that's like, and that's a blessing. But I do. That that has happened a few times when I was in China, in the smaller places, yes, in the not so international cities, but it did happen. So I personally feel like I wouldn't let my guard down just because they don't have guns. And I will always stand on that. No, China does not allow guns. No, your regular person doesn't have it. No, your police don't have it. But that doesn't mean it's, it's a rose garden and it's completely safe. It's not. I've been threatened with machetes and knives and glass bottles, you know, for um, being black, being different, being foreign. And I will always have those images, those feelings, and that experience, that particular one, with me. So whenever I think about like my well-being in China, I think of stuff like that and how it can happen at any moment. And I'm always going to be outnumbered. Even in Guangzhou, I'm always going to be outnumbered. Um, you know, even as a woman, um, there's a lot of men, and as a black woman even more so, because there are a lot more people who are not black than are, um, and I have those things in my mind but it doesn't stop me from going out, so to speak. It doesn't stop me from traveling. It doesn't scare me into submission and hiding in my apartment all the time. But I definitely don't think or feel that China is any safer than America. I don't. That is my truth, and that has been my experience. It is safe to an extent, and for me, just to the extent that they don't have guns, everybody not packing. Like,
Right.
in that respect, like, I don't have to, like, the fear I have when I'm at home, like, I might not come home today if somebody starts shooting stuff up. Like, that is something I live with here every day. I don't have that when I'm in China. I have a different type of concern, knives and other types of things. And then the mentality that, if you're a foreigner and something's going on between you and a Chinese person in public, another Chinese person, and then the Chinese person in the argument or in the altercation might be the one completely in the wrong. But other Chinese people will jump in just because they're Chinese,
Just
and
because
it's
they're
them
Chinese.
against you. I've seen that play out, and it has
I've seen it
happened to
too. It's
me.
happened to me.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So being on the receiving end of that is like, that really impacts, your notion of what and where is safe. And it's kind of a would you rather type of thing. But for me, it's not a which one. It's a it doesn't matter. The fact that the potential of that has, like the potential that violence like that has to happen in China in comparison to the gun violence and stuff in America, to me it's equal, it's even. There is no, you know, oh well at least it's guns, or at least it's, no, none of that. Like
Yeah.
it's both terrible and I don't like any of it,
That's
you know, like
interesting that you say that, because like after a couple of years of being here, I would tell people back at home, I feel like it's kind of like pick your poison. Like
I
like
mean, and that's the general, that
yeah.
is actually the universal kind of perspective about it. It's like, well, which
Yeah.
one would you? And
Right.
I personally, I don't want to choose. I don't like either of them. So I'm just going to
Right.
say they're both, you just like, for me, there's an equal probability of violence. Just the method is different. And while there is that equal probability of violence, I'm not going to feel completely safe in China.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I think most people do. Like I still look over my shoulder when I pass people, you know.
Right. I have to stay vigilant, you know. And so my stepdad is an ex-Marine. So
Okay.
while me and my siblings were kids, he always, you know, like he would make us observe things and he would ask us questions about it. And so I remember sometimes we'll be, you know, going out somewhere and he'll randomly ask, um, you know, if we just got off the metro bus somewhere, you have to recall to him somebody's entire outfit, things like that. Like pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to detail. You know,
Oh
don't,
wow.
you know, you just have to be aware of your surroundings, like wherever you are. And this is kind of something that was instilled in me. You always have to, you know, remember some type of detail. Don't just, you know, just be la la la, just, you know, like. And me, I am kind of that person. I'm kind of like, what's the word?
Observant. He's like,
I'm very observant, you know,
yeah.
detail oriented, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know, I get into my own little world, you know, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times. Like my mind, I just start thinking just about what I have going on and not really, you know, like to having tunnel vision, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that's something that was drilled in me from a kid, from my stepdad. So like it's like on 10 when I'm in China. No matter what I have going on, I'm always looking for different, you know, I'm trying to remember what, even the Chinese signs, I'm like, what restaurant was that? You know, what am I near? Or, you know, things like that. Or the people that walked past me, that person had on this type of shoes, this type of shirt or something like that. Just to, you know, if anything happens, I will be able to have some type of, you know, helpful record of that for myself and for others. If it comes down to me needing to help people, you know, that would be a way for me to contribute. Just pay attention to the information, and you know, just make sure you're doing what you can to contribute to your own assistance if anything goes down as well. That's kind of like what I was taught. So that's
Okay.
how I live.
All right. And can you tell me a little bit more about your business, right? So you got this business in Guangzhou. It's a translating business.
Yeah, so that's one of the services we offer. So for
Okay.
instance, the name is Bold Connect International. So it's BOLLD double L. So Bold Connect International is like a business services agency, and what we do, um, we have grown, I will say, into this type of agency, and we wanted to
Mm-hmm.
become like a platform as well for just like um, educating people about um, what it's like to do business internationally,
Okay.
how to serve as, and we want to serve as this connection between Chinese companies who want to enter foreign markets, and the same thing for foreign, you know, enterprises that want to break into the Chinese market. We want to facilitate and foster that connection. We offer translation services between several different languages: English and Mandarin, of course, English and Cantonese, English and Korean, English and Japanese, English and Spanish, and vice versa for all of those. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we do things like subtitling, editing and proofreading, things like that as like a package service. Um, Product sourcing is another thing that we do, and in this way we help businesses, international businesses who want to find different suppliers and manufacturers for things that they need for their business. We're here to help them navigate kind of the Chinese atmosphere.
Okay.
And the same for Chinese businesses who are wanting to connect in that way in foreign markets. We want to help facilitate that. And we also are offering trademarking services, and all of our services are open to everyone. So there is no like, well, we're going to be marketing towards these people. No, everything is open to everyone. The trademarking services, however, we do want to encourage specifically foreign enterprising or entrepreneurs who want to do business in China specifically. We want them to have that kind of protection, that kind of knowledge about, how that works, and to protect what they build in China. But definitely that service is open to everyone still. We are able to help people register their trademarks for whatever they want.
Wow. I think I may need to use this business, actually.
Yes, sir. We are here to serve.
Because you know what Bilibili is, right? Bilibili is like the Chinese YouTube kind of. Yeah. So like I also
that video service, right? It's like Chinese YouTube, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Chinese YouTube. So like I put my things up on there, but like people are telling me, oh, I can't. Like Chinese people saying like, oh, you guys are speaking too fast, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna tell anyone to stop speaking the way they normally speak. So what I want to do is like I'll just have to transcribe it, but I don't want to transcribe it. I'll pay someone to transcribe it. This is like a lot of work.
We have transcription services too. I'm just saying, like. Yeah. I'm just saying, like that we definitely can offer that service as well. But you're right, and it's important that when you start these things, like, so you have your podcast and stuff, and big up to you, and I'm hoping it's going to blow up, and I hope everything is doing well. But when you have things like this that you're creating, like, you want to protect that, you want it to be yours. You want to be able to manage it how you want to. You want to be able to control it how you see fit. And when somebody infringes on that hurts. Like, this is time, energy, money, and it's important to you. So we want people to, no matter where they go, no matter what country they're in, to understand that it's important that you protect what's yours. So we want to be able to show foreigners, definitely, but anybody, that we can do these things even as foreigners in China. A lot of people think that these things aren't possible. It's like, no, yes, they are. You do have to learn the language, learn the culture, learn how to communicate these things, and learn how to find information, yes. But it is there, and we do have a way to get these things for ourselves. I remember there's so many times, like even now, people will say, oh, foreigners just can't do this in China. How do you know? Did you read something that told you that foreigners aren't allowed to do that or can't do that? Like, is there a law saying that, foreigners can't or are not allowed to do, like, and a lot of times no. It's just people have been lazy and have lied to people. And those people, even unknowingly, take that lie and tell other people, until now everyone believes that that's the truth, and no one really looks into it. And that's just, it is what it is, until someone takes the time to find out otherwise, and then they can go and help other people.
I've had that experience too many times.
I believe every foreigner has, and I believe every foreigner will.
Like, especially with like locals.
Yes.
Locals telling you crap that they don't really know about, and I'm going, that don't sound like what I know. But you telling me because you Chinese that you know better than me. But okay, sure.
Right. Not because you know the law, not because you can produce the thing that told you that, but just because you're Chinese. Yeah. So I've gotten that so many times, and I just kind of, for those that I've kind of like put my foot down. So when it comes to these business services, I think about the times that I've been lied to. I think about the times that I have been purposely deceived for money or for just to get whatever they want, like whether it was a favor, some type of recognition, money, or anything. Like I've been on the other end of that, and I'm like, man, I wish I knew what I know now. I wish I knew it then. So you know what? However I can get this information to other people, I'm gonna do it. So.
It happened to me about a month ago. Trying to get on,
See there?
trying to get on the train that I always
See
get
there?
on, but I'll leave that story for another day. I feel like we can. I feel like we can keep going, but I want to cut it off here. But before we cut it off, I usually ask my guests to like they'll have the last word, and I usually ask them to say something like inspirational, but I'm not gonna do that this time. What I want to ask you is, anything that you have on your mind, would you like to share? It could be inspirational, it could be anything else, but the floor is yours, and then we'll end. Anything
Can I
that
do
you
like
want
half and
anybody.
half?
Of course, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, so I must say something like completely silly, and then like whoever listens to this, y'all can respond. All right. So
Okay.
I do a little bit of live streaming. Like it's not for money or anything. I literally just started because I think it's cool. And on my I think on my last live stream, I asked like, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Because everybody who knows me knows how much I love ice cream. Like I call it the best food group. So
Okay.
I love ice cream. Just ice cream is it, y'all. So basically, I have two favorite flavors of ice cream. One is sea salt caramel, and the other one is birthday cake. But the crazy thing is, I don't like cake. I don't like cake. I don't like cupcakes, but I like the ice cream to have like the cake bits and icing and all of the other stuff like mixed up in there. So like, does anyone else have like something like that just doesn't make sense? But that's you. You know what I'm saying? Like something kind of quirky like that. Because
I don't like white sauce.
white sauce.
Yeah, like any white sauces, like mayonnaise,
Oh,
Miracle Whip,
see, there you go.
sour
So
cream, ranch dressing. I don't like none of that. No.
right. So anything like that, anybody else can relate to that. Like I love hearing like people's stories like that to be like, okay, I'm not the only one that has my little thing like that, So I like hearing stories like that. And then the second thing is something a little inspirational. It's kind of cliche, but whatever. It's been driving me a lot lately, and that's celebrate the small wins.
Okay.
Especially those of us who are still alive during this time, who have not caught the virus, who have been able to start anything brand new. And maybe you might be moving at a snail's pace or something like that, like I am. I'm trying to start another company in America right now, and I'm moving pretty slowly. And that's also a conversation for another day. But basically, just starting from scratch during the pandemic when everything is closed down and everything is closing down, and people that had their businesses for generations have gone out of business, and it's such a bleak atmosphere to try to do something new. You know what I'm saying? And we're all seeing, these people pop up here and there on social media. Like now this person is making $1 million a month or something. I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it seems to be like, I've been starting to see that like other, like a lot of like just everyday you and I who are now here, and you're looking at it like, man, they got it. But nobody really knows if they will see that type of success. But that doesn't mean it's the only type of success there is. Like it's important to realize like the small wins count too, and those are also good things that are contributing to your overall success, and they shouldn't really be disregarded just because it doesn't look like a package of $1 million, or just because you haven't hit I earned $5,000 this week, kind of milestone. It might have been So something that makes me feel really good, if I can achieve it, is at the end of the day, I have completed everything on my to-do list. Like, that genuinely makes me happy. I go to bed in such a good mood, and I'm just like really, really energized for the next day when I know that my to-do list, don't let me finish early. Like, if it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the day and I'm like, I have nothing else to do, like, oh my God, like, and I'm just like, go Kela, you did it, like, I pat myself on the back, a little bit, because I'm like, I actually set out what I was meant to do today and I got it done. And I'll always celebrate that, but that's not going to be success to the average person, you know what I mean? But in my mind, that is
it's
a
a small
success
win
for me.
yeah.
Exactly. So remember those small wins, everybody. They are important. They are bigger than you think.
Okay. Wow.
So that's it.
Very important thing to say. But we're going to end right here. My name is Eric Charles. This is Kela, and that is the Black Book Podcast. I'm just on a mission. I'm trying to live my dreams.